Okay, so we are starting now. I am Bharti from GST Zen, and this session will be talking about all the basics of e-invoicing and showing you the demo of how to generate e-invoices by using GST Zen. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yeah, it's visible.
So the topics we'll be covering are basics of e-invoice, the legal provisions involved, account with NIC, how to integrate your Excel or your software through APIs, generation and validation of e-invoice. Some FAQs also will be dealing with them and what solution GST Zen is offering. So before moving on to e-invoicing, let me tell you a little bit about GST Zen. GST Zen got started in 2017. We are an ASP GST, and besides e-invoicing, we provide other services like return filing, reconciliation, and other tools which are helpful in GST compliance. The software allows you to file GSTR1, 3B, 9, and 9C. You can also download various reconciliation report, which includes books versus GSTR 2A or 2B, PAN level reports, sales register versus GSTR 1. You can also download e-bill report, and we have tools like autopilot wherein you can perform a single function for multiple GST numbers at a time. JSON to Excel, GSN, HSN validator, offset facility, and many more. Let's look at some of our numbers. We have more than 30,000 users. Lakhs of reports have been downloaded from GST Zen, and millions of invoices are processed daily. We have more than 20 crore invoices in our database, and we generate an e-invoice every 2 seconds. So load handling is not an issue for us. Okay. So now moving on to e-invoicing. So why has e-invoicing been introduced? Okay, so as we as a society are moving towards digitization in every field. So after implementation of e-invoicing, India's rank has moved up from 77 to 63 in the ease of doing business matrix. Moving digital also helps you in reducing your cost, saving time, and making the process more efficient. It also simplifies orders and makes the compliance by taxpayers much better. What is e-invoice or electronic invoicing? There is no prior standard under GST or any other statute. So e-invoicing is essentially introduced to enable interoperability. So right now everybody has a different kind of software. If somebody is generating an invoice from their ERP and sending it to somebody else, it is not possible to directly import it if you're not using the same method. But in e-invoicing, everybody is using the same schema, the same format. The e-invoice portal only takes your information in the form of a JSON. There is a schema specified, the format is specified in which you have to send the information, and the output is also uniform. From there, the information automatically travels to your GST return, that is your GSTR1, and from there it travels to GSTR2A and 2B of the customer. So interoperability between software eliminates the need for data entry, and it also helps uh, other players like banks and wholesale retail chain. Let's look at the legal provisions. So first round of e-invoicing went live on 1st October 2020. So the first batch where the taxpayers having turnover above 500 crore, they started e-invoicing from 1st October 2020. This was in pursuance to Central Tax Notification 61 bar 2020. After that came 100 crores, then 50, 20, 10, and lastly 5 crores and above, which went live on 1st August 2023 in pursuance to Central Tax Notification 10/2023. So CGST Notification 68/2019 notified e-invoicing, and Rule 48 gives the manner of issuing such an invoice. So Rule 48 Sub-Rule 4 gives Form GST INV1, and then Sub-Rule 5 states that any invoice which is not in the form of GST INV1 is not a valid invoice. So you have a proper schema, a proper format in which the e-invoice should be generated. It should have the mandatory details. If it does not have, that invoice will be considered as invalid. Further, Rule 48 Sub-Rule 6 states that multiple copies are not required when you are generating an e-invoice. So before e-invoicing, you would be generating a copy for supplier, a copy for transporter, or maybe some other purposes as well. Now that is no longer required when you are generating e-invoice. Only a single copy is enough. CGST Notification 69/2019 notifies the common portal. So the common portal is einvoice1.gst.gov.in. After that, other portals have also been introduced. That is e-invoice 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. CGST Notification 60/2020 specifies the schema, that is the fields of INV01. So whatever form GST INV1 is given under 48 Sub-Rule 4, the schema is specified and was notified by CGST notification. So these are the additional new IRPs. Initially, there was only one portal which you could use for generation of e-invoice. Now, another portal has been given by the government, that is NIC, and four are run by private players. So, e-invoice 3 is run by Signet, 4 by ClearTax, 5 by EY, and 6 by IRIS. So you can either register on the government portal, or you can go through private players for generating e-invoice. You can register on either of these 6 portals. So, okay. So we have seen that every person is who is having a turnover above 5 crore has to generate e-invoice. So that relates to PAN based turnover. So now we'll see who is exempted from generating e-invoice. So an SEZ unit, Special Economic Zone unit, is exempted from e-invoicing. A government department, local authority, and persons covered by CGST Rule 54, these people are exempt. An insurer or a banking company or a financial institution, including NBFC goods, transport agency. Here a question comes up multiple. I've seen this doubt so many times that people are involved in transportation. They have a transport agency, whether e-invoicing is applicable to them. No, e-invoicing is not applicable for transport agency, passenger transportation services, and admission to exhibition of cinematograph films in multiplex screens. So this has been updated as per notification 61/2020 Central Tax. Another important thing to know is e-invoicing, on which documents and which type of transactions is e-invoicing applicable. E-invoicing is not applicable for all the documents you are generating, but it is applicable only for your taxable supplies. Okay. So when you are generating an invoice, credit note or debit note in relation to a taxable supply, where you are supplying to a business, that is a registered person, or government, or you're exporting. So taxable supplies for B2B, B2G, and your export of services. In these cases, you will be generating e-invoice. Similarly, these columns which are highlighted in red, for those entries, you are not supposed to generate e-invoice. So bill of supply, delivery challan, ISD invoice, these documents are not eligible for e-invoicing. And the type of transaction, when you're supplying to B2C, you're selling goods or services to a person who's not registered, who does not have a GST number, there you will not be generating an e-invoice. And for purchase from URD or import of goods and services. So the main thing to remember is e-invoice is generated for invoice, credit note, debit notes for taxable supplies where you're supplying to a registered person, that is making a B2B supply or supplying to the government or exporting those goods. Okay, moving on. How to enable yourself for e-invoicing. For people whose turnover, PAN based turnover, has gone above 100 crores, is above 100 crores. Another point to clarify here is people ask that my turnover in the previous year was not 5 crore, but in 18-19 or let's say 19-20, it crossed 5 crore once, then it went down again. Am I eligible for e-invoicing? So PAN based turnover, if it has crossed 5 crore since the inception, since the beginning of GST, that is from 2017, since the beginning of 2017, if your turnover has crossed 5 crore even once, you are eligible for e-invoicing. Okay. So people who are above 100 crore can directly connect to the portal through APIs. But if you are below 100 crore, you have to go through a third party, that is through an ERP or a GSP. You can register on Sandbox where you can test with your data. Then when you go live, you will register yourself on e-invoice portal, that is e-invoice1.gst.gov.in. You may also register yourself on e-invoice 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6. That is your choice. Government portal has also provided another avenue for testing, but that is only for 100 crore and above. That is e-invoice1 trial.nic.in. There are other tools also which are provided by the government. So you have the portal provides you a list of people who are generating e-invoice. So you can check in this database if you are supposed to be given an e-invoice by a particular supplier, and if you're not getting it, you can check whether that person is eligible for e-invoicing and you can demand an e-invoice. For your GST number also, you can check the status of e-invoice enablement, whether you're enabled or not. If you're enabled, you have to start e-invoicing. Uh, so an Excel utility, that is an offline utility, a government tool is also provided which you can use to generate e-invoice. Then an app to scan the QR code. The only app which you can use is you can download from the government portal and use it to scan the QR code to verify the authenticity of that QR code. You can also verify the authenticity by uploading the acknowledgement JSON. So what is acknowledgement JSON? Acknowledgement JSON is the response that you get for generating an e-invoice. Once you send the information to the e-invoice portal for the purpose of generating e-invoice, you receive a response that is called an acknowledgement response. That can be used to verify the authenticity of the e-invoice. Moving on, let's look at the process. Okay, so let's say you have integrated your ERP with the e-invoice portal. So how does this process work for e-invoicing through that ERP? So you create the invoice in your ERP, that gets converted into JSON and then is sent to IRP. From there, the data is validated. It also checks for duplication. If you've already generated e-invoice for a particular document number, you will not be able to generate it again. So hence, that is called, if you try to generate again, you get an error of duplicate entry, duplicate IRN. Okay. So once it passes all the checks, e-invoice is generated. From there, it will provide the acknowledgement JSON as well as digitally signed QR code. After generation of e-invoice, if it is not cancelled, it travels to GSTR1 in the GST portal. If you generate e-way bill as well, it will go to e-way bill portal as well. From there, it goes to GSTR1, and from GSTR1, it goes to GSTR2A. Let's look at some of the terms and definitions that we generally hear about. That is IRN, Invoice Reference Number. Invoice reference number combines the taxpayer GST number, financial year, document type, and invoice number. So each IRN is unique and is based on these four things. That is taxpayer GST number, financial year, document type, and invoice number. It is a 64-digit alphanumeric number that is used to uniquely identify an invoice. It is for computers only, and this is an example. So where we have given this as the GST number, financial year is 1920, document type is invoice, and document number is 2. So when you have an exact combination, if you're using an exact combination again, it will give you an error, duplicate IRN. So that is why it is, we say that only you can use an invoice number only once for generating an e-invoice during the financial year. What is invoice registration portal? So invoice registration portal is actually where you send your data. So the taxpayer uploads the e-invoice JSON to invoice registration portal, that is IRP. From there, it will check for duplication. It will also check, validate your data from the e-invoice registry. After confirmation that this is a new invoice, e-invoice gets generated and digitally signed invoice and QR code is sent back to the taxpayer. If e-way bill is also generated, it is sent to the e-invoice portal, and after that all this information travels to GST common portal in your GSTR1. So IRP is authorized by the government. It is run by NIC. It verifies and acknowledges e-invoices. It will reply within the blink of an eye and retains invoices for 24 hours. After which you would not be able to see it will not maintain a list. So if you want to retrieve the data from e-invoice portal at a later date, you would not be able to do it. It will retain the information for 24 hours, within which you have the time to cancel an e-invoice, after which you would not be able to. This is what a response from IRP looks like, what we call an acknowledgement JSON. So you get the acknowledgement date. Acknowledgement date is actually the time of generation and not the invoice date. So let's say today you are generating an invoice which is dated 24th of August. The acknowledgement date will be today's date and the exact time at which you generate the e-invoice. That will not be the invoice date. Then you have acknowledgement number, IRN, signed invoice, that is your characters, signed QR code, status of the invoice, whether it's active, cancelled. Then you have e-way bill details if you're generating that as well, e-way bill date, number, and validity. This is a sample PDF from the government portal, what a PDF generated by the e-invoice portal looks like. So signed QR code, this is digitally signed by NIC. When you scan it using your e-invoice verification app, it will tell you that that is digitally signed. It would contains the high level parameters of an invoice. So this is an example of the information you get when you scan the QR code. You will not get all the information, but the basics, the main points, high level information. the buyer GST number, document date, number, document type, IRN, item count, main HSN code, seller GST number, and total invoice value. So let's move on. GST Zen integration process. How does GST Zen integrate with IRP? Let's say you're working in Tally. So GST Zen has its own TDL, which will install in your Tally. From there, the data is picked up when you generate the e-invoice. You give a command to generate e-invoice. The data travels to GST Zen Cloud. From there, we validate that information and send the JSON to IRP. After e-invoice is generated, we fetch back the QR code IRN, and then it is stored back in the Tally. My colleagues will also show you a demo of this. Generation time. Okay, moving on to the frequently asked questions for e-invoicing. So at what time is the e-invoice required for a particular transaction? So if you are moving goods, e-invoice has to be generated before commencing movement, for across the counter sale before completing the sale, and for invoice for services before issuing it to the customer. How do e-way bills work? So e-way bills are governed by Rule 138 of CGST rules. E-way bill can be generated simultaneously along with IRA, or it can be generated as at a later date as well. So let's say I'm generating the e-invoice today, but I'm moving the goods tomorrow. So tomorrow I can generate the e-way bill based on the e-invoice I've already generated. You can generate simultaneously or at a later date. IRP supports e-way bill only for invoice. So if you are generating an e-way bill for a credit note or debit note, it cannot be linked to an e-invoice. You would have to generate it separately. So if you want to cancel the e-invoice, you have to cancel the e-way bill first, and then you can cancel the e-invoice. How to print e-invoice? You should print your e-invoice with IRN and QR code. So QR code in a digital display is sufficient during transport. You can just have the soft copy of the invoice. That will be sufficient. So how to send the e-invoice? IRP will not send it for you. You should email the acknowledgement JSON along with the PDF so the user can verify your e-invoice with the acknowledgement JSON and also with the QR code. What details of the e-invoice should you save in your ERP? You should save the acknowledgement number, date, invoice, and QR code digitally signed by IRP. Okay, so what time can I register my e-invoice? So as per any time before issuing the e-invoice, you should generate the e-invoice, but you should generate it within a week so that you are in compliance with section 31. A time limit had been implemented by the government portal, e-invoice portal, of 7 days. That is, people who are above 100 crores had to generate the e-invoice within 7 days, but no such limit is there for below 100 crores. That also had been taken back by the government, and we believe that it will be brought back in a few months. There would be a time limit for generation of e-invoice. There is no time limit as of now. You can generate e-invoice for a backdated invoice. Okay, so today's date is 30th. So if I want to generate an e-invoice for a backdated invoice, let's say 28th or 27th, I can do it. The portal will not stop me. Can an e-invoice be cancelled? Yes, e-invoice can be cancelled, but you can only cancel it within 24 hours. Can e-invoice be modified? No. Once you have generated an e-invoice, you cannot rectify any details. So let's say you type the quantity as 1000 instead of 100, or you give the wrong name, anything else. Once you have generated the invoice, you cannot change any details. Only option is to cancel it and then generate a new invoice. But then also you would not be able to use the same invoice number. What if I've generated an invoice by mistake and it is not cancelled within 24 hours? So there are two options here. You can either cancel it using your credit note, or you can cancel it in your books, and while filing GSTR1, remove it from there. Invoice technical aspects. So this we have already gone over, how GST Zen helps in integration for e-invoicing. Another salient point of using GST Zen is it will automatically email your generated e-invoice to the recipient. You would not need to do it manually. E-invoice schema. Let's look at some of those aspects as well. There are some mandatory fields, then there are some optional fields. So in this picture, all these fields that you're seeing are mandatory. So you have to provide the seller details, buyer details, document, line item, and total amounts. So these are all the mandatory sections of an e-invoice. This picture shows you the optional sections as well. So shipping address, if you have a different ship to address, you provide that. If you have a different dispatch to address, you provide that as well. Export details you can provide. You can provide payment terms and reference details in additional to this mandatory sections as well. Okay, so we can skip these parts. These are more in detail. GST Zen offering. What does GST Zen offer for e-invoicing? So there are various methods. Uh, so we provide an Excel solution. We have secured folder. We have drag and drop. Plus, recently we have also provided a macros which you can use without logging into GST Zen. So my colleagues will be showing you that product as well. We provide ODBC, that is direct database access, and we have custom solutions, that is ready-made solution for Tally and SAP. We provide GST Zen APIs, the APIs which can be used to integrate with your ERP. You can integrate the APIs in your ERP and directly generate e-invoices from there. So these are GST Zen APIs are compatible to all ERPs. Now my colleagues will be taking over and they'll show you the demo of the software. Utkarsh, please take it.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
before
Bharti.
Utkarsh shares it, I just want to add one point to the members. Most of us are using definitely an accounting software integrated or thing or an Excel integration. The chances of errors always happen when there is a data entry. The government portal has given a facility to enter the data in an Excel, generate the JSON and upload. Likewise, even in the e-way bill portal, go to e-way bill portal, do a data entry and generate. The common mistakes that happen, that is why we call error as human. When someone is doing a re-data entry, the chance of having errors are high. I would request everyone to just watch the demo which Utkarsh is giving, because it is necessary that the data flow from one application to other application should go in the same intact. If there is an error in the accounting and the original data itself is wrong, the wrong data would go garbage in, garbage out. But there cannot be any error happening from an data entry into another software. I highly advise everyone relook whatever the method at which you are generating the e-invoices. See if the same can be integrated, automated, and whatever be the accounting software or the billing software you have, the e-invoice shall be generated through that application only. So that's where we will have the Utkarsh do the demo. But feel free to ask any questions that you have about the e-invoice and also the method of generation and the automation. Yes, Utkarsh, over to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. My name is Utkarsh, and I will be showing you three modes of integration what Bharti showed you in the presentation. That is the Excel integration, the integration through the billing software, and the API integration. So I would share my screen. Just let me know if you can see. Okay, so this is the dashboard of GST Zen. Whenever you create an account and log in as a user, you would see this is the page, and this is the page where you would start interacting with the website. This homepage contains some basic details about the GSTINs, that the filing status of GSTR1, 3P, and 9. Some quick links. So in order for you to navigate into the platform very quickly, that is, you can create the invoices, you can go to visit your e-invoices, see the sales register. All these terms I would be explaining in my demo as well. So it gives you a brief overview about that. So let's start our demo. So first thing that we will be seeing is through the billing software. So I will click on this Clouds and Software Labs and on this GST number, and I will be redirected to a page of belonging to a particular GST number. So I would click on this create invoice. Here I would get a template which is mimicking kind of a PDF, so that you would get a understanding that it is somewhat like a PDF and you would enter the data accordingly. Now you can enter the invoice number from here, that is the document number. You can enter the invoice date as well here. I would select the date of today's, that is 30th August. And you can select the document type, like if you want to generate an invoice, you can select INV. If you want to generate credit note, you can click on the CRN DBN, and accordingly you can select the options. Similarly, you can also choose the supply type, whether you are trying to generate a B2B invoice or an export invoice or an SEZ invoice. Depending on that, you have to just do the basic fill. Okay. Mostly this would be saved because you are there in the particular GST number. All those data can be saved in the master codes. There is something called as master data in our GSTs, where whatever frequent data, like the recipient details, products, which you would be using on a day-to-day basis. You need not type it again and again. It creates a lot of redundancy, and that is so not required. So you can just store that, all those codes, in a particular database that is stored, that is present in GSTzen, and you can use them whenever you try to generate an invoice. In this case, let's say I want the recipient details. So I would just type some initials of the recipient, and as you say that all the details like the GST number, the legal name, trade name, whichever details which are necessary for the e-invoicing gets automatically filled up, and I fill this recipient details in a fraction of a second. Next thing is that we usually think is line item details. What would be the items present in the invoice? This also you can create a range of products in the GSTzen database. Like for this case, I have selected chair A002, and then you can select the units as described, like UQC code as present in the e-invoicing schema. You can alter, like let's say if a person is feeling that I had entered 200 is my frequent number, but what if for this particular invoice I want to charge something different? You can change that as well and create a custom invoice accordingly. So that is fine. That is not an issue at all. And so I'll go back and then I'll make this round off and I'll just save the invoice. So that's simple. You have to just fill in the basic details which are already present in your master data and just save the invoice. Now I would click on review of the invoice. So this is an invoice which is created in your sales register. So each GST number has a sales register. Whichever mode of integration that you take, whether it's an API integration or an Excel integration, all your invoices get accumulated in a place, that sales register of GSTzen of that particular GST number. So this is like one of those invoice which we have just created. Now, if we want to create, now it's saying that it's not an e-invoice as of yet. So do we want to create into e-invoice? We have to just click on this, click here to generate invoice. Before that, let's see how a PDF looks like before we make it an e-invoice. So as you can see, this is very standard, very basic invoice, like all the standard details which are present. And the key features that Bharti was telling us in the demo that the QR code, the IRN number, the acknowledgement number, which has to be there in order to be a valid e-invoice, should be there. It's not present as of now because it's not an e-invoice. So we click on this, click here to generate e-invoice. And as you see that IRN number, acknowledgement date, and acknowledgement number all appears within a blink of eye. That's how fast the e-invoices gets generated. And now if I see the PDF, you would see that some updations have happened. That is the QR code, the IRN number, the acknowledgement data. All these details have appeared and now it's a valid invoice ready for transaction. Now, if I want to generate an e-way bill along with it, so for that, there is a button called generate e-way bill. You can click on that and enter some basic details. I will be entering the details for part B. And I would take the mode of transport as road and I will click on generate e-way bill. And as you can see, the e-way bill is also generated with the date and time and till when it's valid up to. And if I want to see the PDF of e-way bill now, you can see that I entered the distance as 0. It automatically calculated that the distance would be 1429. All the transactions, all the details, what I had mentioned in the invoice objects get automatically reflected in the e-way bill as well. So this is one mode of integration, that is generating the e-invoices through the billing software. Let's see how we can do e-invoicing through our Excel standard utility as well as an offline utility. So for that, I would just again go to this GST number and there is a button saying that view e-invoices. I would click on that and it would show me the landing page of the GSTs and e-invoicing. It has various buttons like you have to configure the API credentials in order to generate e-invoices. You can see the dashboard, how many e-invoices you have generated as of now, and you can also visit the sales register. For today's demo, I'll be clicking on this standard e-invoice Excel, which is there in the standard format. So in this, you will have to fill the data into our Excel, which is the template is present here. If I click on this, that gets automatically downloaded. I'll show you how the Excel looks like. Yeah. So just a moment. So basically this Excel contains 3 sheets, that is the about sheet, sales invoice sheet, where you would be entering the data, and the master data that has some master information about the e-invoicing system. In about sheet, you have all the list of mandatory columns which are required by e-invoice and which needs to be filled in order to generate a valid e-invoice. But in order to facilitate it better, in order to make your working easier, we have made some of the things optional, as like transaction type, it's an mandatory field. But in order to ease your working, we have made that if you do not pass also, it would automatically take as R. So you, because most of the transactions that takes place for this e-invoicing is B2B. So that is understood. Similarly, for place of supply, we have automatically made that the 2 digits, it's the 2-digit state code of the place of supply. If not mentioned, it would take from the location of the recipient. So these are actually mandatory fields as given by e-invoice portal, but we have given you some features in order to facilitate your working so that your working becomes a little easier. Now, this is the sheet where you would be entering all your details like the document type, document number, sales, supplier GST number, supplier legal name, recipient details, ship to details, dispatcher details, and the product items. Everything is present here. And this master data contains all the standard informations which are needed in order for you to generate an e-invoice. So for that, you have this UQC codes, you have this supply type, you have the document descriptions and the country code, which are necessary for the export invoices. So let's see how using this format, you can generate an e-invoice. Okay. So let's go to our portal and we would select, I have prepared one of the Excel in order to show you how the demo works. So I would click on this upload, and here after a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, it would automatically calculate and give you a summary of the number of documents which are present, and it would show you the invoices. See, the number of documents are this, the total amount is this, and all these things are present. Now, if I click on this, you would see a list of invoices that are generated. The invoices are present. Now, if I see the PDF, it would be similar to what we saw in the billing software. There is no QR code, there is no IRN and everything. So now we will try to make it into a valid e-invoice. So for that, we have to click on this, upload e-invoices, and we confirm that. So within a couple of minutes, you would see that all those invoices are slowly converting into valid e-invoices. This green tick mark is an indication of that. I would go into one of those invoices by clicking on it, and you can infer from that that this is the same page that we had reached even from the billing software. So from whichever mode of integration you go ahead, you reach to that same page of the billing software, same page of the sales register where you have the list of all your e-invoices. So this was the second method of e-invoice generation. Let's say there is also an offline utility for Excel, which can also be useful if you want to generate e-invoices. For this, I would again go to this Clouds and Software Labs GST number, and I click on this. Here we have this offline e-invoice Excel utility tool, and here it has a list of instructions like how you have to use it and what all option it has. For now, we can just download the template and start working on it. I have already downloaded one of the template in order to show you the demo. So this is our offline Excel, and it has basically sheets for canceling as well as generation of e-invoices, and also separate sheets where you can see whether the successfully generation of e-invoices have happened or not. We have also a master data and the about sheet as present in the other full Excel utility, that is the online Excel utility. And at the end, we also have a sales register, which shows what all invoices have you generated and what is the status, current status of it. So locally, it just stores the status of the invoices so that you ease your working. The main feature of this invoice is that you do not have to go to any platform. You can log in to GSTs from here only, and you can generate the invoices from here only. So let's start. Let's see how the e-invoices gets generated for this. I have made one entry here. For this, first thing you have to do is to log into your login using your user credentials. So the username is this, and I would be using my user credentials. Okay, just a moment. I think there's some issue. One second. Okay. Okay, so there was some issue with the login. So now it says that the login is successful. I click on OK. And the next thing that you have to do is click on this button that is present, generate e-invoice. So it would take a couple of minutes and it would show that the successfully generated number has come, that one invoice that we had entered, and it's showing the count as 1. So I can just visit on that sheet, and I can see that the details of IRN, acknowledgement number, acknowledgement date, even the message has come that this is the distance and the QR code, invoice PDF link. Even this, the feature of this is that even we enter the e-bill details. I had entered the e-bill details here. One second, I'll just show you. Like the vehicle number, vehicle type, distance, and the transporter mode. We can even generate the e-invoices and the e-bill along with it. So if you want to verify, we can just click on this and it would redirect us to that same PDF that we had. And similarly, if I want to see the e-bill PDF, all it is present within the Excel as well, Excel only. So you can see that the e-waybill details are present, and all those PDFs that we had generated from the other modes of integration have also appeared. Now let's see if I want to generate this. Okay, before that, let's see what happened to the sales register sheet. See, there is an entry made of the sales register with the invoice PDF link and the e-waybill PDF link, and the status says as gen. So it means that it's generated. Along with it, it also has the document number and document type, whatever entries we had, it's copied. So let's say you have lot of invoices here, and if you want to clear it out, I do not want it to be cluttered, so you can clear all those invoices and you can shift the working. So let me copy this first so that my data doesn't get lost, and I'll just paste it in the cancel because we'll be doing a cancellation operation. And if you could see, now it's saying clear generated invoice. So let's say you had 10 invoices, and it would say that 2 had caused some error. So it would clear all the generated invoices so that you can focus only on the invoices which have error. Like I did clear on this, it automatically gets cleared. So now I go to this cancel invoice. For this, as we have already logged into GST's end, we don't have to do anything. We have to just click on this cancel invoice button, and within a fraction of a second it gets cancelled. You see the document number is present, the message is there, and if I see the PDF now, it says that it's cancelled, and the QR code, the IRN number all disappears. So it means that it is cancelled. And the main point to note here is that this is all happening within the Excel. There is no need of going to any website in order to generate or cancel invoices. Now, if I see the sales register, the status has changed into can, and the e-waybill PDF has gone because there's no point of that. And also the e-invoice PDF with the cancellation link is already present. The thing to note is that there is always present this entry. So you can use this entry in order to modify, or if you want, there's certain change in that and all that. So for that, it's all preserved in the sales register sheet. Now, this was the demo of the utility, like the offline utility of e-invoice. Let me now show you the e-invoice API integration. So this integration is usually very much helpful for the developers or the people who have their own ERPs, who want to add just a button in their accounting softwares or anything, that they click a button and they are able to generate the e-invoices. For them, we provide the APIs. So for the APIs to generate, you have to just ping on this endpoint using the post method, and you have to provide the authentication, the token for it, which would be present in your account, and you can use that. And then you have to pass the JSON in the schema as prescribed by the NIC, like the transactional details, document details, seller details, buyer details, and all these validations, how it's happening. For more details, you can always visit to e-invoice developer portal. It would give you a brief idea what is required, what is not, because the common errors that I've seen, that sometimes developers don't keep an eye on what is the data type of the particular field which is present in the e-invoice API. So if I click on that, let me now try to generate it. So you would see that the e-invoices IRN generated, and it is showing the time that when it's generated, and it also has the signed QR code, image URL, and the image PDF URL. This is the same PDF URL that we have been seeing through cross platforms, through the billing software, through our one of the methods, through our offline Excel, and at the API also. So how do we use this? For this, you have to just copy this and move to my.gstzen.in, and then you have to just paste the URL that is you are getting in the response, and we see that you get that same invoice PDF. And similarly, if you want to see the the image QR code. Similarly, you can do by the same procedure. Now, if you want to generate an e-way bill, the only difference that you have to make, other than changing the endpoint, obviously, is that you have to add one extra dictionary of e-way bill details. For more info, as I was saying, or for all these details, there is more information in the e-invoice developer portal. You can always visit that. So for that, you have to just add the e-way bill dictionary by adding the transporter ID, transporter name, trans mode, distance, vehicle number, vehicle type. So let's say you want to generate only part A, that is the transporter ID, transporter name you have, so you can provide that. If you do not have that, then you can use, then if you are like you are transporting with your own vehicle, then you can obviously provide trans mode and distance and the vehicle number, because you will be having that. So this is how you generate the e-invoice. And similarly, for cancellation, everything is same. You have to just pass the same JSON and you can cancel the e-invoice. So that was the end of my demo. Now my friend Vashishta would be showing you a demo how to generate e-invoices and e-way bill through Tally. Thank you. Vashishta.
Thank you, Utkarsh. I'll just be sharing my screen. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Vasishta. Today, I'll be showing you a demo on how to create e-invoice and e-way bill using Tally. So before generation of e-invoice or e-way bill, you need to install a TDL, which will be provided from GSTzen in your gateway of Tally. Once you install that, you'll be getting this GSTzen tab in your gateway of Tally.
Vasishta, sorry to interrupt. I just want to give one brief to the members. Again here, what Vasishta is showing is Tally ERP9. Okay, this is the older version of the Tally. Now, why this we are showing it is, if some of you are using the older version of the Tally do not have the ability or the facility to generate e-invoice. The GSTzen connected, the TDL, which Vasishta is mentioning, that it has an ability to integrate and do the e-invoice. Now, some of you might have been using Tally Prime, which has an inbuilt feature. Even if you have Tally Prime, the inbuilt feature, you can still use the GSTzen applet. The working modality is you have a clear view of what are the invoices to be generated, cancelled, all those things. And the same data is there in GSTzen portal, which will facilitate you to reconcile with the books before you file GSTR1. It's very important that we file GSTR1 after reconciliation with the books. We cannot make an assumption that the data where e-invoice is done is fully with the GSTR1. At times, there are also chances that the portal misses some of the invoice because of some technical reasons. We don't need to get into a reason why, but that happens. You still need to reconcile before filing. That's the advantage when you have the data e-invoice processed or routed through GSTzen. Yeah. Again, any doubt, please put your questions. Otherwise, Vasishta, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So once you install the TDL, you'll be getting the GSTzen tab in your gateway of Tally. And inside the GSTzen, B2B e-invoice generate. So these are the basic sales entries which you have done in your gateway of Tally. They are indicated in different colors. The plain black colored entry tells that it is just a basic invoice and nothing is created to it. And the blue colored entry tells that e-invoice is generated for this entry, but e-way bill is not generated. And the red colored entry tells that there is some error in this entry. We'll just see what the error is. You can see in the status error GST number is invalid. So these errors, if these errors are seen, then it will be shown in red color. And then the green color indicates that both e-invoice and e-way bill is generated for this particular entry. Now I'll just pass an entry and then try to create e-way bill and e-invoice for that. So as usual, you need to pass a sales entry in counting vouchers. Sales. And you can see here, primary, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, we have various options. For example, if you have a single company and different branches in different states, you need not use different gateway of Tally to generate e-invoice or e-way bill. That can be done here only. You can select whichever branch you want. I'll be selecting primary, which I've taken as Karnataka. Select the party name. States. We'll select a commodity and give quantity for it. Yeah, here you can see provide GST or e-way bill details. If you want to e-way bill for this particular entry, then you need to give yes here. And then nothing much, just the vehicle number has to be added here. Everything else will be calculated by GST Zen itself. So I'll just add a vehicle number here and then save this entry. I'll go to GST Zen again, B2B invoice register. So here I have my entry. I'll just select this entry. And then on the right hand side, you can see upload e-invoice option. I'll give a command as upload e-invoice. And you can see immediately that entry got changed into green color, which tells that both e-invoice and e-way bill is generated. And that can be seen here also in the status bar. IRN number, 64-digit number, IRN is generated, acknowledgement number, acknowledgement date, and then e-way bill status also, it is showing generated. Everything has been calculated here. This can also be seen in the PDF form if you just give a command as print. This can be seen in the PDF form. The PDF has the IRN number, acknowledgement date with the QR code. Everything can be seen here. Now for cancellation of e-invoice or e-way bill, I need to go to e-invoice generated. Here, I'll just select one entry. So one thing that you have to keep in mind is before cancellation of e-invoice, or e-way bill, first the e-way bill has to be cancelled. Only then the e-invoice can be cancelled. So first I'll give a command as cancel e-way bill. You can see that it turned into blue color, and on the status bar also it is showing e-way bill has been cancelled. Now I'll try to cancel the e-invoice. I'll give a command cancel e-invoice. And immediately that entry vanishes from here, and it can be seen here in the e-invoice cancelled column. IRN cancelled, e-way bill also cancelled. So in this way, in just a click of a button, you can generate e-invoice along with e-way bill and also cancel it. And now I'll just show you how to create standalone e-way bill and then updation of Part B, cancellation, everything, how it is done through Tally with the help of GST Zen. So same for that, you need to install the TDL, which is GST Zen, TDL, and then you'll be getting GST Zen tab over here. You have the option e-way bill and then e-way bill generate. Here you can see the entries are there in black and then green color. It's almost the same. The black color tells that is a basic sales entry, and the green tells that e-way bill has already been generated. As you can see, I've also created e-way bill for a delivery note here and also kept a normal entry of delivery note. Now I'll just create one e-way bill of B2C invoice and then try to generate e-way bill for it. So I'll just pass a B2C entry. Same, I need to pass a sales entry here. So I'm selecting as Mr. X, so it will be a B2C invoice. I need to provide the vehicle details here. And I'll also provide the dispatch from as Bengaluru. I'll just select the city. And I'll provide the vehicle number. Only the vehicle number has to be provided. Everything else will be calculated by GSTs in itself. I'll save this entry. Now we'll go back to GSTs and then E-way bill generate. Yeah, so this is the entry which I've passed now. Mr. X, I'll select this entry and also the delivery note. And then on the right hand side, you can see we have the command as generate E-way bill, update part B, everything. I'll give a command as generate E-way bill. Yeah. So you can see both the entries got turned into green color. The B2C entry and also the delivery note, both of them got turned into green color. And even this can be viewed in PDF form if you give a command as print. So you can see the E-way bill number, the QR code, everything, it is generated. Now, for the purpose of cancellation, you need to go to E-way bill register. One second. Yeah. So now E-way bill has been generated to it. Now updation of part B. For updation of part B, you just need to go to this entry and the place where you provided the vehicle number, you just need to update the new vehicle number, whatever you want to change there. I'll just change the vehicle number. And then save this entry. And I'll select this entry. And on the right hand side, you have the option of update part B. I'll give this command. And immediately you can see we got the status that E-way bill part B is updated. So just in a click of a button, part B also can be updated. In the same way for cancellation or extension of E-way bill, if you select any entry or any entries for which E-way bill has been generated, you have the option here to cancel E-way bill, extend E-way bill validity that can be used here for cancellation and extension of E-way bill. So this is how you create and cancel and updation of part B of E-way bill can be done through Tally with the help of GSTzen. So I've shown you two demos. One is regarding the generation of e-invoice with E-way bill, and another one is only with only generation of E-way bill. If there is if there are any doubts about this, you can ask about.
Thank you, Vasishta. So if there are any questions regarding any part of the webinar, any e-invoicing questions that you may have, please ask. The team has answered all the questions that are there in the chat. If somebody else has any questions, they can unmute themselves and ask. We will also share our details, that is our email ID and the support number on which you can reach out if you are if you have any questions or you're looking to connect with GSTzen for e-invoicing or any other services. Utkarsh, can you please share the details in the chat?
Yeah, Madhyav, share.
Okay, so is there any physical copy to be after e-invoicing? Physical copy you can provide, but it is not required when you generate e-invoice. Digital copy, the soft copy is fine when you're even when you're transporting the goods. Mr. Gopinath.
Mati, there is one question from Ms. Sundari Mahadev. Place of supply is delivery location or billing location?
It is the billing location. In some exceptional cases, it is delivery location, mostly in case of hotels or such. Those are exceptions, but place of supply is generally the buyer's location. How to download TDL for Tally for ERP9? We provide, our team would do the installation, and after you have joined GST Zen, our team would do the installation for you, and you would be able to generate e-invoice. Shah Motors, we have generated an e-invoice on 18th of August and found a mistake on 23rd August. So yes, you will be unable to cancel the e-invoice. One option is for you to nullify it by creating a credit note. The other option is you cancel it in your books and remove it from your GSTR1 at the time of filing. Mr. Rajesh, GSTR 9s. Sir, GSTR 9 we would not be discussing in this webinar. Utkarsh, can you please enable people to unmute themselves?
I have
Somebody is
already,
raised.
I have already enabled. You can unmute. All the participants are requested. You can unmute yourself and ask questions.
So we have one question. So this is Rashikar from Vigwen. So we have a customer who is based out of Chennai, and
Okay.
they have an office in Bangalore.
Okay.
And we are also a Karnataka Bangalore based supplier. They want the item to be built to Bangalore, shipped to Chennai, but they want a CGST and SGST as a credit input.
Right.
So is it correct? Generally, it is considered as interstate. We thought it is always IGST.
No, sir. See, it depends on the billing, the party you're billing to. Okay.
Yes.
See, you can provide the ship to address as that of Chennai. Okay, but the place of supply will remain Bangalore.
So the nomenclature is little confusing. Once we say ship to, which is nothing but place of supply, right? There seems to be
No. Ship to is different. Place of supply is the buyer's location.
So it is not actually ship to.
Correct. Ship to section, place of supply is actually a section it's a part of buyer details. Okay, if you see the e-invoice schema, the field place of supply that is called POS comes under buyer location, buyer details. Ship to section is altogether different.
So even though I'm physically shipping it to Chennai, I have to say place of supply as Bangalore.
Yes, that place of
CGST
supply, correct, is used for calculation of taxes.
So the material doesn't matter where it is going. If the customer prefer to make it CGST, STST, I can deliver to Chennai, but claim as Bangalore and give them CGST, STST.
Correct, but make sure that you are giving the correct ship to address.
Yes.
Because that will be the basis of e-way bill.
Yes, correct.
So the e-way bill will accept there. I have to say that irregular, I should not click there. I have to say bill to ship to.
Correct. There are transaction types, right? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So otherwise, if I go to regular, people had to understand that regular, if I click, it will not allow me to take a ship to, and this one billing will be different, and I can't use Bangalore CGST.
Correct. But yeah, in case of e-invoicing, you would not even need to give that transaction type. It automatically takes the transaction type based on the information you provide in e-invoice. So you have to make sure that you provide all the information at the time of generation of e-invoice itself. You will not be able to add them later on. Let's say you generate the e-invoice now, but you did not provide the ship to address. In that case, while generating the e-way bill, you will not be able to add the ship to address.
Yeah, correct. That's what I was going through, and then I have to cancel my invoice. So both were so different, and then I have to, at the end, I have to cancel both. So luckily, I got to get the information today.
Thank you, madam.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, there are some questions in chat. Is it necessary to mention transport details for supply and installation works like one second. Electrical contract, it is not possible to mention the transport details. Mr. Rajshekhar, your question is not very clear. Would you please explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, this is Rajshekhar, madam.
Yes, sir.
I am an electrical contractor. I will get an order from the client for
Right.
installation of electrical works. So
Okay.
we will procure materials required for that,
Hmm.
and we will install all those things. After that, we will supply the invoice.
That is essentially job work, your delivery challan, no? You would
Job.
be generic. So that is delivery challan, sir. It will not be under the purview of e-invoicing. You will not be generating e-way bill connected to the e-invoice. Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever you are transporting, it will be under delivery challan. Okay.
But for the client, how should I generate an e-invoice? Because e-invoice asked for.
E-invoice is only for your services or any goods that you are selling directly.
In that goods will be there now.
If you are transporting goods also, then you can generate e-way bill on that e-invoice. But some goods that you will be transporting will not be for sale, right?
It is for sale only, but only after the conversion it will be invoice will be generated.
Only okay. Then you can generate. You can transport for by delivery challan, sir, and then you can generate e-invoice after completion.
I don't have the transport number because multiple items comes in multiple times.
So for each time you'll need to generate a delivery challan, sir.
Delivery challan.
Okay. Okay, physical invoice and generation invoice, how much time period will we get between that? It hardly takes 1 or 2 seconds between posting of data and receiving the response. Or is your question different, Mr. Sanjay Pradhan? Physical invoice and generation of e-invoice, how much time period we will get between that? Okay, so you want to say that you are generating a backdated e-invoice? Right now, there is no limit on generation of backdated invoice, but the portal will implement it. The GST portal or e-invoice portal, they will implement it very soon. It had been implemented for parties above 100 crores, but it was rolled back. To be in compliance of section 31, you should generate the e-invoice within a week. But the portal has put no restrictions as of yet. Are there any other questions? How to add more details in Excel format such as work order number. See, all these details, most of the details are part of the e-invoice schema. These are optional fields. There are optional fields in which you can provide these information. Work order number, purchase order date. All of this you can provide in the optional sections.
I think there are no more questions, but we can wrap up.
Okay.
Okay.
Two more questions have come on. Okay.
Yeah.
One more from Shah Motors. For businesses more than 5 crore turnover, is there any time limit for creation? No, there is no time limit as of yet, but you should generate e-invoice within a week to be in compliance of Section 31. Plus, auto population will also happen within 3 days. Okay, so if you have filed GSTR1, that auto population also stops. So I'm sure all of you must know that whenever you generate e-invoice, all that information automatically goes to GSTR1, where it will show the IRN also. But if you generate e-invoice, let's say after filing GSTR1, or if you're filing GSTR1 on 11th and you generate the e-invoice on 11th itself, it will not go to GSTR1 since it takes around 3 days to auto-populate. It is always advisable that you finish it within a week to be in compliance with the law. But there is no time limit as of yet. It is expected that it will come.
Aarti, there is one more question from Mr. Kiran Sonkar.
Okay. I don't see it.
Sir,
Can
what
you
if,
please?
yeah, what if e-way bill generated and material wrongly reached different state? How will rectify e-way bill and how to further movement of material to the correct destination?
Okay, see, once you have generated the e-way bill and the goods have already reached the destination, don't think there is anything you can do besides generating a new e-way bill and send it to the correct location. Because there is a time limit for the cancellation of e-way bill as well. That is within 8 hours of expiry. That is when you can only extend the e-way bill. But after the time of expiry, you will not be able to cancel the e-way bill also. The only option is for you to give the correct e-way bill and send it to the correct location. If you require more clarification, you please send an email to support@gstzen.in. We'll get an answer from an expert in the field.
The details of the contacts are provided in the chat, please. You can see that.
For a 31st August invoice, we need to create an invoice within 7. Yes, by 7 September, you should create it. But even after that, the portal will allow you. This is in pursuant to Section 31 of CGST Act.
Okay, Bharti, I think we can end the session. I thank you all of the participants for joining the session. Thank you, Bharti.
Thank you, Splash. Thank you, Vacheshta.
Yeah, thank you, Vashishtha.